Samsung is probably the most watched of the smartphone manufacturers. Arguably, for right or wrong, the company probably took more headlines for its tumultuous 2016 that Apple did with the iPhone. The Galaxy S7 Edge won awards while the Galaxy Note 7 was a disaster. The Samsung Galaxy S8, then, is more than just another phone. It not only needs to be the phoenix that rises, it needs to stamp out the flames of the Note 7 and establish the company's position as a smartphone powerhouse. Fortunately, Samsung is approaching this as only Samsung can. The Galaxy S8 is going bigger, it's going better, and from what we've seen so far, it's pretty bold too. While the transition from Galaxy S6 Edge Plus to Galaxy S7 Edge had some blink and you'll miss it changes, the Galaxy S8 looks to catapult this phone into the future. There's a sweeping run of changes to this phone, but it's distinctly Galaxy. Dual curved edges, sculpted sides and a glass back is all familiar territory, as is the IP68 protection. There's a big change on the front that would be unique had Korean rivals LG not pipped Samsung to the post with the launch of the LG G6. The big shift is the reduction of bezels top and bottom, shifting the aspect to 18.5:9. That's fractionally different to the LG, but the motivations are the same. The aim is to increase the screen-to-body ratio and give you more display without resulting in a bigger overall phone. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has a huge 6.2-inch display, but it's only 73.4mm wide. That's narrower than the iPhone 7 Plus, while only being fractionally taller, but giving you over half an inch more display. Of course, changing the aspect results in that display increase. It's taller rather than wider, so although that diagonal is larger, you don't get the same display area as you would from a 6.2-inch 16:9 phone. Essentially, Samsung has expanded the display into sections of the phone that used to be top and bottom bezel, shifting the controls onto the display and, amongst other things, ditching that logo bar at the top. Moving the controls onto the display is something that Samsung has avoided for many years, but it now necessitates moving the fingerprint scanner to the rear. It has also led to a pressure-sensitive home button under the display, but more on that later. The Samsung Galaxy S8 embraces innovation. There's a newness to the design while retaining the more eye-catching features of the Galaxy S7 Edge. The result is a beautifully updated handset that makes its rivals look tired and boring. Outside of design, the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus comes with a fully updated internals. For the geeks, this phone is the first to be powered by a 10nm chipset. Sure, the Sony Xperia XZ Premium will too, but Samsung will be the first to market. We're yet to really see how the new Exynos chipset will perform, but Samsung is saying that the efficiencies will lead to a more powerful CPU, and a 20% boost to the GPU. One thing is clear though, Samsung sees this as much more than just a phone, as the announcement of the Samsung DeX desktop experience sees this phone able to act like a desktop when docked. Samsung hasn't detailed exactly who is getting what chipset where. We expect to get Exynos in the UK, while some other territories will likely get the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. We'll update as we learn more. There's 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal storage, with microSD card for expansion, and of course, there's a lot still to learn about how this phone performs under load in the real world. Those with eagle eyes will have spotted the USB Type-C on the bottom for charging the 3500 mAh battery. This is where the larger S8 Plus is likely to trounce the smaller model, as it has a larger battery. There's no telling how long it lasts, again, something we'll test when we fully review the phone. There's wireless charging support, as before, too. When it comes to displays, Samsung has a reputation. We've seen luscious AMOLED after luscious AMOLED and we've never failed to be impressed. They might not have the color balance or realism that some others strive to achieve, but they deliver the brightness and the punch to make everything look fantastic, indoors and out. Samsung is in new territory with the Galaxy S8 Plus, pushing for a taller display with that 18.5:9 aspect. That means you have more space if you want to multitask, splitting the display to have different apps top and bottom. That's something that Samsung has offered for some time and if natively supported by Android Nougat, but it's more effective on this type of display. There's a shift in resolution to 2960 x 1440 pixels, resulting in 529 ppi, which is pretty close to the Google Pixel XL, 535 ppi. That means incredible detail from this display. First impressions are that it's every bit as capable as the S7 Edge, and that's a very good thing, as it looks fantastic. One of the interesting details is the confirmation certified by the Ultra HD Alliance. Samsung said it was the first display to get this certification for mobile HDR Premium. There was no mention at the launch of the Galaxy Tab S3 launch. For those who don't know, the Ultra HD Alliance certifies that TVs reach a particular standard in terms of quality to carry the premium badging, with this new mobile HDR Premium established for the best mobile devices. Undoubtedly, this is a move to oppose the LG move to offer the first mobile Dolby Vision device, as these two rivals battle it out in the mobile HDR space. The good news for consumers is that there's likely to be more content as companies provide the hardware to view it on. Watch out for Netflix and Amazon HDR content coming to a phone near you. Returning to the aspect ratio, the one-handed aim is achieved to a certain extent, because you can more easily reach across the width of the phone one-handed. That means that things like keyboard entry is easier. The top of the phone, however, is a little further away, so some might find that reaching for the notifications area is a little more of a stretch than it was before. If there's one detail we're not totally sold on, it's the rounded corners to the display area. Having been using the S7 Edge, it is essentially a squared display in the corners, so this is a change that might take some time to get used to. Whether it results in the notifications and system icons getting a little squashed across the top, time will tell. Overall, the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has a display that will blow others away. There's loads of space in a device that's not excessively large, it's packed with detail, dripping in saturation and pushing those HDR skills. The elephant in the room is the rearrangement of that home button, which is linked to the fingerprint scanner and the iris scanning skills. But let's rewind a little. The original Samsung Galaxy S had a physical home button at launch in 2010. Every Galaxy S model has followed suit, as Samsung avoided the temptation to go for on-screen controls. That's now all changed. Shifting the display size and removing the bezel top and bottom means there's no space for buttons. The fingerprint scanner is now on the rear, sitting next to the camera lens. That's not an uncommon position, and those who have used Huawei or Pixel devices will know it presents no problem at all, but Samsung's almost seamless framing and positioning will likely mean that many put fingerprints on the camera. This will take time to get used to. That's the reason that Samsung is now talking up the alternative biometric unlocking option it offers, iris scanning. You can have the iris scanner unlock the phone when you look at it, and Samsung says this is now a much more advanced system. That should hopefully ease away any barriers to unlocking, but we can see that having offered a seamless home button unlocking experience, this change is a big one for serial Galaxy S users. We'll find out when we fully review the phone. But let's talk about that new home button. With the navigation controls on the display, and customizable, you now have the option of firm pressing button center to act as the home button. There's haptic feedback when you do, also adjustable, so that you know it's worked. Having used plenty of phones with on-screen controls, Pixel XL, LG, Huawei, for example, it feels like a normal Android experience. Again, it's something we'll have to explore in more detail in the future. Read more by clicking the link below.